Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give me 100 comments if you are interested in this new fantasy anime. I also ask for your help to correct if there are mistakes in my video. One day, our main character, Nick, and his guild, All Martial Arts, were in a labyrinth on the border of Terran City. Then they were finally able to defeat the boss monster in the labyrinth and get a lot of prize money from the Adventurers Guild. Nick was also assigned by his friends to secure and bookkeep money for the All Martial Arts Guild. A few days later, Nick has a date with his girlfriend, Claudine, at a cafe. Claudine once wanted to have high-status equipment back then, so Nick made Claudine a necklace to resist the element and curse. Claudine thanked Nick and said she was pleased to have a boyfriend like him. Then Claudine asked Nick about the quest he was running with his guild. Nick told her that something odd was going on with the guild's finances. Nick had divided the money evenly into his friends' account books, but the physical money in the guild didn't add up and some just disappeared. Nick had kept it somewhere the guild members didn't know about, but someone could still steal guild money. Nick suspects that Garros stole the guild's money because he was the only one who last saw Nick and always behaved badly in the guild. Then Claudine helped increase Nick's confidence, and she advised Nick to immediately report this to Argus as soon as possible. The next day, Nick went to Argus' room to discuss Garros, but Argus decided not to expel him from the guild. Nick was shocked after hearing this. If Argus kept Garros, the All Martial Arts Guild would have difficulty reaching the highest ranks. Suddenly, Argus got angry and said that he didn't need an adventurer with too serious thoughts like Nick. According to Argus, C rank was sufficient for an all martial arts guild. He didn't need the highest rank. After all, Argus had also heard from Garros that Nick often embezzled the guild's money for his own interests. Nick used to be just an orphan who was picked up by Argus and trained to be an adventurer. But Nick's mindset was very different from the other adventurers. Having fun in a bar partying every night is part of the adventurer's life, and Nick rarely does that. Even though Nick had fought hard to bring the All Martial Arts Guild, Argus was forced to expel Nick because he had often embezzled money. Nick also tries to convince Argus that he never embezzled the guild's money, but Argus didn't care what Nick said and preferred to keep Garros in this guild. Then Nick said goodbye to Argus and immediately returned to his inn. The next day, Nick runs into Claudine at the cafe again. After Nick told her all of yesterday's events, Claudine suddenly broke up her relationship with Nick. Claudine no longer wanted to date Nick because, without the All Martial Arts Guild, he was just an ordinary adventurer with trash abilities. Now, Claudine is with the Steel Tiger Party led by Leon, and she has been given the necklace from Nick to him. Claudine laughed because Nick had been so serious about dating her all these years. Nick already gave everything to Claudine, and he also taught various abilities to her. Even Nick is willing to spend money to buy high-level armor to help her survive. Claudine is very comforted by the hard work Nick has done for her so far. Then Claudine said goodbye to Nick, and Nick was no longer useful to her. Nick is very depressed because he has accepted the harsh reality of his life. In Nick's mind, he just wanted to be the best to repay Argus for picking him up when he was little. Argus has become a father figure to Nick, but unfortunately, the mindset of their way of adventure is different. Nick also didn't think that Claudine's past stories had given him so far were just a mask so she could take advantage of Nick's kindness. Nick regretted that he had worked so hard for the All Martial Arts Guild and Claudine. Before long, a beautiful girl named Agate approached Nick, who was silent in the middle of the rain. Agate immediately gave him an umbrella and wiped Nick's wet head from the rain. She also gave Nick an idol group ticket and asked him to attend the event. Agate is a new idol, and she can't let a guy like Nick get depressed like this. Agate will appear on the show and cheering Nick up, so he'll have to see her tomorrow. The next day, Nick went to where the event was being held, and he just found out that there was an idol group event like this. When the event started, Agate and her friends started singing on stage. Agate also saw Nick and gave him a vibe of love. Then Nick's heart was touched after Agate did that. Because of that, he spends some of his money buying all of Agate's merchandise and enjoys the event. Well, even though it was Nick's first time experiencing this kind of fun, he still had to carry out the quest. Nick wants to raise a lot of money so he can come and buy all of Agate's merchandise again. Then he immediately went to the Subdivision Adventurers Guild for Novice Adventures. When Nick tried to find a new party there, he was suddenly discouraged because his sense of trust in other people was gone. After that, Nick entered a bar alone while drinking beer to treat his trauma. He also saw that other parties were partying to celebrate their successful completion of today's quest. In Nick's mind, he believed someone from that party would be dumped or betrayed like him. Then suddenly, there were 3 other adventurers sitting at Nick's table. Then they began to tell about the events that had happened. First, Nick tells about Argus and Claudine. Second, a beautiful lowly girl named Tiana tells about her fate. She had trained very hard to become a great magician. Tiana does this all for the pride of her fiancé, Alex, one of the best magicians at the Noble Academy. His family also has higher noble rights than Tiana's noble family. One day, Alex accuses Tiana of bullying Lean at the academy. Lean is a daughter commoner who has just been promoted to noble, and Tiana is jealous of what Lean has accomplished. Lean had also heard that Tiana often teased the teachers at this academy to get the best grades. Even Tiana was also accused of bribing teachers with money. Then Alex cancels his engagement with Tiana and marries Lean as soon as possible. Tiana was shocked after hearing this. In the end, Tiana was reduced to a commoner and banished from her family. Tiana just found out that the mastermind behind all these accusations is Lean, but she couldn't do anything because no one she trusted anymore. Then Tiana entertained herself by trying to gamble on dragon racing. At first, she always won every race, but this thing made Tiana addicted to gambling, and she lost until her money was almost gone. Third, Zam is the most religious church priest. There is a middle school girl named Muriel who helps Sam to get herbs plants every day. Sam also always pays Muriel in gold coins for trying hard to collect them. Sam works as a pharmacist and is greatly admired by the citizens. One day, Muriel confesses her love to Zam, but Zam rejects her because a priest is not allowed to have a girlfriend. Because of this, Muriel became very resentful of Zam and reported the false accusations to the church. Zam was arrested because he always forced Muriel to make love with him in bed. Afterward, Zam paid Muriel in gold coins. Then Zam was imprisoned for 3 months and expelled from his church and residence. Zam was very depressed and finally visited a bar to make love with a woman who had loved him for a long time. Then this woman advises Zam to go on an adventure so he can get a lot of experience in this world. She also gives clothes and a book weapon so Zam can become a sorcerer. But since then, Zam has been addicted to making love with all girls and always spends his money to satisfy his desires. Fourth, a hot girl from the dragon race named Curran. Curran had been betrayed by her party and was left in the dungeon with a boss monster that had paralyzing poison. Curran couldn't say anything else because she was still very depressed after knowing that the person she trusted the most turned out to betray her and dumped her away. She also spends her money to eat foods to cheer herself up from her cruel past. After they told their stories, these 4 adventurers with bad fates partied until their money ran out that night. The next day, they woke up in Tiana's room. When they wanted to return to their respective inns, Nick shouted to ask them for a moment. Nick wanted them to be comrades in arms who had to make ends meet every day. He was sure that Zam, Tiana, and Curran must have a financial crisis now. Meanwhile, they also have to continue to live their own pleasure. They couldn't join the party of someone they didn't know because the chances of being betrayed or dumped would be repeated. Because of that, Nick will form a party of 4 adventurers who can't trust other people. He took the initiative to do something like this thanks to Agate, who had saved his life from depression. Then the story of 4 adventurers who share the same fate will begin.
この者たちが世界を救うことになるのじゃが